Now, guys, we are going to see woke Hollywood continues to bend the knee. I don't like to talk about very much. I don't like to talk about, woke this, woke that, but they are talking about How to Train Your Dragon, and I love the books and the movie. And my hope, my literal hope, is that this live action is an adaptation of the books, because the books and the movies, the only similarity is there are dragons, there are Vikings, and some of the names, because Astrid doesn't exist on the books. Is here in Brazil we call the cabeluda. It's a redhead. It's a redhead. If any of you know her name in English, please leave it in the comments. So let's see. Sydney Watson, the woke Hollywood continues to bend the knee.
Why is it?
Oh, I don't have my headphones. Great, now I can hear.
Always like this.
Let's increase just a tiny bit. Yes.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome
Hi.
to Hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by PDS Debt. And of course, happy Valentine's Day to all of you on my side of the planet.
Well, we're a bit late, but I did post a Mita episode on the Valentine's Day, so that was my Valentine to you. A crazy anime girl. I'm a great
happy
host.
Late Valentine's Day to those of you on the other side of the planet. I hope you all felt a little love, platonic or otherwise. And if not, just know that I love you, because love makes the world go round, or so I'm told. Now,
and my viewers and her viewers, you give to us views, money, and your time. The most important thing in the world. Thank you all. Again, we passed 40 subs. Our army is increasing. We are a platoon now, and soon we are going to become a battalion.
now, as basically all of you know at this point, Hollywood has been progressing down this absolutely bizarre path of turning anything and everything into a remake, even if no one asked for it, and they'll still call something live action even if the new film is 90% CGI.
Oh, exactly like the Lion King. It's just an animation, but it's a real kind of a copying real life animation, the Lion King, because it's 100% CGI.
Because why not? I guess. Now, for very obvious reasons, people have been talking a lot about the new Snow White film that's set to be in theaters sometime in March. Let me remind you all that this is the same film that has decided that Snow White's name is because she was born in the snow and not because she has skin that's white as snow like the original, so do with that what you will.
To honor the day I was...
And don't forget that Peter Dinklage has said, oh, it's degrading to have dwarfs in a dwarf role. So let just me be the only dwarf of Hollywood and just do CGI dwarfs, because the magical creatures didn't go down well with the viewers. Oh,
born.
motorbike.
My father named me Snow White.
I love to hate this timeline. But this time I thought that we could take a look at yet another remake that's set to be in theaters sometime in June that has interestingly flown a little bit under the radar, despite the fact that it's doing just as many egregious things as all the other remakes we've come to know and love. I also recently happened upon some news concerning this specific film that really irritated me. And because it's Valentine's Day, I would be selfish if I didn't irritate you too. Now, some of you might remember that back in early 2023, it was announced that the animated 2010 film, How to Train Your Dragon, was set for a live-action remake.
And I was hoping that they wouldn't just do the live-action version of the animated movie, but a live-action version of the book universe, because the books are awesome. I read every single one of them. I can post a picture because I have all of them at my parents' house.
And for a lot of people, this was actually good news, or neutral news at least, given that the original film has a bit of a cult following, so to speak, and was really well received upon its original release. I am aware, and I know this is a film made for children, but if I'm being honest,
It's
I think
awesome!
it's adorable, and I actually happened to rewatch it. I have hiccups, so trying to film right now is impossible.
I know that
Oh my
struggle.
God.
Sometimes I'm pretty sick, but must keep the grind.
Oh, I don't know if I can do this for an hour. And I happened to rewatch it the other night. And also, hello there, Stoic. I'm sure you guys are noticing a trend about the sort of animated man that I weirdly sexualize in these videos.
In the books, Hiccup's mother was also like a big, burly Viking woman. So yeah, she was a lot like Stoic. Stoic! Stoic!
Siri, do I have a daddy issue? You don't even own an iPhone. Anyway, shortly after this,
Android
we came to
supremacy!
find out that Hollywood was doing what Hollywood does best, and it became clear that one of the main characters was set to be race swapped. The blonde-haired, fair-skinned female lead, Astrid. Rather than finding someone who looks like the original leading lady, they instead cast Nico Paca, who I've mentioned previously in other videos, and this wasn't the first time that she was raising a blonde-haired, pale-skinned cutie patootie. I unironically think this is a terrible thing to be known for. I don't even think that Nico Paca is a bad actress, it's just that every time I come across her, it's in this context.
Yeah, I heard about that also, and I thought, oh, they are not getting a blonde girl because they are doing the books. But no, it's just Hollywood. They're doing a cash grab, quick cash
Why?
grab.
Obviously, all of this went down about as well as you'd imagine. And the response to this criticism was the same as it always is. Stop being a bunch of sexist, racist, far-right bigots. I mean, God forbid that we ask Hollywood to just have characters look how they originally looked. How terrible of us to find issue with that. I feel like they're gone. I feel like I did.
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. It's something that I think it's really funny because the books are one way. The movie, it's a completely other beast. Just for you to know, Toothless in the books was confused for a long time as being a common garden dragon. A little dragon with no teeth. He didn't have those retractable teeth. And he was a little dragon, a little green dragon, useless because they learned this in the future. Spoiler alert for old book. They learned that he's a great sea dragon that is going to be at the size of a whole island. But that is just going to happen in 500 years. So Hiccup is never going to see that, and he's going to still have a useless dragon when he dies of old age. So yeah, it's pretty different. Everything. His best friend is fish food, fish leg. I don't know if there's the fat kid in the movie, the blonde fat kid. He's skinny and wears glasses in the books. So yeah, pretty different, And his mother has not disappeared, or thought it was dead in the first movie.
Oh my god, I think I inhaled correctly. Wait. Oh no, there they are. Having the hiccups is incredibly annoying, and actually there are a lot of other things that are much more annoying that you probably have that you'd like to fix, like debt, which is why today's video is sponsored by PDS.
Woo! Ad!
Like this help as customers or isn't, but personally watched two friends of mine go through some massive struggles that at the time PDS debt existed, because this is a company that everyone with 10,000 pdsdebt.com/Sydney. It only takes 30 seconds. And once again, that's pdsdebt.com/Sydney.
Okay,
After
now
the
we're
initial
done.
blow up, this whole situation basically just faded into the background because I think a lot of people have made peace with the fact that Hollywood studios are just going to keep milking existing animated films and
Yeah.
keep churning out their terrible live action remakes. Also, additionally, I don't think that there was enough drama around.
Did you know they are remaking Moana? Like, literally, Moana. The movie's not even 10 years old. Come on, guys. You don't need to remake an animated movie that is so recent. There are a bunch of other movies that you can remake if you want to remake stuff. Where is my boy Arthur? And the Sword and the Law, the King Arthur movie. In Brazil we call it Espada da Lei, but the Sword is a Law. You know what? The King Arthur movie. Where's my
This particular
remake?
remake for people to really get their knickers in a knot too much. Although I'm not sure what's considered live action about a film that's still majority animated. Maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe I'm not the target audience.
They have actors this time, so it's obviously live action because there are people running a green screen.
I don't know. But in my travels of the internet, I came across the newly released How to Train Your Dragon trailer, which gave us a better look at the cast. I'm sure Editing Sydney is gonna show you some of this.
Yes. I've killed hundreds of us.
I must say, I love Stoic. I watched this trailer when it came out like a while ago, and I love Stoic. I think he's a pretty good. They choose really well, and Hiccup also.
Editing Sydney just added a bunch of Stoic clips, didn't she? In a strange turn of events, I happened upon a Screen Rant article headlined,
Not everyone needs to be white. How to Train Your Dragon's live action casting lore change unpacked by director after Astrid backlash. Oh, come on, guys! It's the same stuff as Witcher. You know, if you're adapting something that is Nordic folklore, there weren't a lot of black people there. To be really honest, there weren't a lot of black people living up on the north in the ice. But okay, to me, being pretty honest, I don't have so much of a problem with race swap because Nick Fury is a race swap, and I think everybody loves Samuel Jackson. But there are differences. Yeah, you can have a good race swap or a bad one. A good one is when you incorporate something new. The Nick Fury of Samuel Jackson is more sassy. In the comics, he was a bit dry. But there are bad race swaps. They just happens with no reason. Well, you can say this to the Nick Fury one, but he's a good one. We all love Nick Fury. We all love Samuel Jackson because he watches hentai. Editor, put the clip.
Not everyone needs to be white. How to Train Your Dragon's live action casting and lore change unpacked by director after Astrid backlash. And obviously, just based on this headline, it really irritated me. I was very annoyed. This crap is why NASA have found an asteroid that's probably gonna hit us in like 8 years. The article relayed an interview that took place with the film's director, Dean DeBlois. DeBlois.
Oh my god, he's French. That explains everything.
That's how he pronounces it. DeBlois.
DeBlois.
Blois. This is
DeBlois.
In speaking about the race swap of our blonde-haired, pale-skinned Astrid, he said that Nico Parker's casting was about her performance and not her appearance. He said, people who are online who are complaining she's not blonde enough or white enough, just wait till they see the performance. The performance tells me everything I need to know. It's also an expanded mythology, so not everyone needs to be white in this community. They are a gathering of warriors from all these different places under the same Viking banner. Well, I do hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but if they're Vikings, then yeah, they probably do all need to be white. What's that? He's doing an ancient multiculturalism. Okay, I see. If I hiccup one more time, I am going to freak out.
Oh, she's scared. Witch.
Edouard basically goes on to describe how in the remake they've created a
Oh my god, Toothless looks so good. He looks so good. Oh my god. And that's sad also.
world.
Look at the dragon. They look so good. And yeah.
Suggesting that because the warriors come from different places, they're now all mixed in together, saying that's all sort of nonsense surrounding the diverse casting. I just discount it. They don't know what they don't know. Once you see the movie, the things answer themselves. Yeah, this is another case where the director or whoever's working on this movie is like, no, it's your fault, bigots. You did this to yourselves by being bigoted. Personally, my favorite part of this interview is when our friend here alludes to the absolutely incorrect assessment that Vikings were a multicultural society because they did a lot of traveling. And something, this somehow justifies Astrid being non-white.
Yeah, I think the Vikings got to North Africa, but I never read telling about a black or mixed race Viking. I could be wrong because they did travel to North Africa, and people like to have fun. Let's say fun with each other.
The Screen Rant article also attempts to justify the logic here, writing, while Astrid's race should not matter at all in this fantasy world, it is interesting to hear Debois talk about how her non-white race could be historically based. This is due to the Vikings traveling via the Silk Road,
see?
which expanded to places including North
See?
Africa.
North
This
Africa.
makes me want to rip my hair out. How to Train Your Dragon? I have had the hiccups this entire...
That's a reference to the How to Train Your Dragon because the main character is called Hiccup.
I'm having such a bad time. Bro, it's terrible. So naturally, I obviously have a lot of opinions about this, and with that said as well, I am trying to be cognizant of the fact that this is a film for children and maybe it's not that deep, but I think because of how frequently Hollywood does this sort of thing, and actually now that I'm saying it out loud and kind of working through it, I feel like there's definitely an agenda to it because they do it a lot in children's movies, so, you know, do with that information.
What? No! What they're saying? There is just a Starfire. It's always like a redheads. I saw a thing that said, "Oh, if you're a redhead in Hollywood, prepare to be switch race swap because Starfire, Jimmy from Superman, Ariel from Disney's Little Mermaid. There are a bunch of other stuff, but I can't remember right now. If I find that picture, I will post it.
What you will, but I personally find this really frustrating and annoying, especially when you consider the words of the director that we were just discussing. But I think I've adequately determined the reasons why this is so annoying. Firstly, and I think this is important and I would like to get it out of the way early on, I do actually agree with the sentiment that a made-up, non-historic kids movie is allowed to take certain liberties with ideas and representations and what have you. Obviously. Dragons aren't real. I know, that's shocking statement.
Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe someday.
Vikings don't have American and Scottish accents. This is fully a fantasy world.
What do you mean? Everybody knows that the Vikings were basically just Texans before the guns. Yeah, we are going to plunge that monastery because they don't have guns. We also don't have guns, but they all have swords. So, yeehaw!
As such, not everything needs to be historically accurate. This was the same argument, more or less, made by the creators of God of War Ragnarok when they race swapped the giantess Angrboda and made her black for some reason. Also,
Oh,
can
I
just
didn't
say
know
how
about
much
that.
I hate that this is the first image that pops up when you search this person from Norse mythology. Like, what are we doing here, Google? What are you doing here?
Oh,
Point
he's just
being,
showing the
I
most
understand
popular.
the argument being made here about fantasy, and I will give it to these people to an extent. Where I draw a very, very hard line in the sand comes from two places. Number one, if you are recreating something that already exists with pre-established characters and a pre-established storyline, and you randomly decide to take leave of those factors, you're not doing it because the world is fantasy and you suddenly have greater creativity available to you.
It's so funny to me because the original animated movie did that first to the books. And now people are defending the animated movie, saying, oh, you can't do that when the animated movie did that with the books. Ah! That's so funny to me. That's really funny. Did you know that Hiccup could actually speak the language of the dragons in the books? Yeah, he could speak Dragonish. Dragon
You're
tongue.
doing it
He's a
for
dragonborn.
points. Especially when the world, the mythology that you're trying to represent is actually based on a real life culture celebrated by a real life group of people. One that involved a lot of white Europeans. Yes, I know that statement makes some people cry. The creators are merely adapting one film to another. These characters are not theirs to change and reinvent. If the people creating this film so desired to do
It's so freaking funny to me. They're only changing the only character that was original to the movie. Oh my god, that's so funny. That's really funny to me. Where was this energy back in the original movie? What did do you know why we didn't do that to the original movie? Because it was a good movie. Everybody loved the good movie. They did not follow anything from the books, but it was an amazing, cutesy movie about a
their own thing, then they
friendship.
should make a new
Yeah.
movie, not attempt to adapt an existing one. I am of the opinion that if you are recreating someone that already exists, a character that already exists, then the objective is to stay as true to that character's original form as possible,
Yeah.
which means casting people who actually look like the character. Why does everybody in this film look more or less exactly the same, except this one blonde-haired, pale-skinned lady? Why is that? They've even gone to the effort of making the main dragon here look exactly the same, but the blonde girl
Yeah, and it's awesome. I love Toothless.
is where they draw the line.
He's so cute in
Although,
this.
I mean, they also made this character randomly fat because
No. I think that's fish leg, fish foot, and he was already fat on the original animated movie. So yeah, that's not a problem.
I guess we needed some fat acceptance, some obesity representation. I don't know. Also, I come back to asking, what exactly is live action about this? Why are we remaking something that didn't need to be remade? It's only 10 years old. And unfortunately, dragons still don't exist.
Wait.
I genuinely don't mean to be unkind here and nitpicky, but I mean, if you're making a live action remake, doesn't that speak to the fact that the people and the places and the things are real? I mean, what's the point in remaking a movie that's still like 90% CGI? I feel like I'm missing something here. Anyway, we are talking about a film that, based on its trailer, is seemingly going to be a shot-for-shot remake. They cared enough to stay true to all of these factors, giving us dragons that look like the
Also, I think this is pretty useless. Oh, you're making a shot per shot movie. That's such a. I don't like this. I don't like this. I really prefer when they are doing a live action or remaking something to just change a bit. Maybe use new technology and stuff. Like one of my favorite movies that is eternally being remade is All Quiet in the Western Front. It was a 1920 movie, then a 1960 movie, then I think 90s, and then 2018. And every single time, it's the same story, but they have different beats. The technology improved. And in the first All Quiet on the Western Front, they used sound for the first time, and it's funny because sometimes the actors were talking really close to the mic, and then they continue talking, walking away from the mic, and you couldn't hear them very much because they are facing the wrong direction. Yeah, but yeah, it's the same story, but each time is changing something to not be the same story. Um, and yeah, I think this is the way to go with readapting stuff, because if you're just doing a shot per shot, you're not going to get amazing stuff like the Invincible series, because let's be real honest. I read the original comic book of Invincible. It's average. It's good. It's not amazing, because I believe the comic has a problem that, oh, I need to show when Mark and Omni Man fight, so we're just going to skip everything to get to that point. In the series, no, they build the process of getting to the Omni Man and Mark fight, and they improved. That's the thing I want to tell you. They improved one version to the other, and if you're not going to improve something, why remake it?
Originals, characters who more or less look the same. They haven't attempted to expand the world in any other way or
Yeah.
add to the story in any other way beyond just saying, oh, the Vikings traveled a whole heap, they met brown people, that means that Vikings must have had a multicultural society. Wrong. They didn't. I think I'm going to put here that
Look. To be real, I'm going to turn back. Look at both of these scenes. Here, below, Toothless is a predator. He's thinking about how can I eat this human to protect myself. Here is like, oh, don't stab me, beauty human. I don't want to be stabbed. There's a tone difference, and I think the original one is better, in my opinion.
cultural society. Wrong. They didn't. I think I'm gonna put here that you sit on a throne of lies statement, because that is accurate. That's how I feel when I listen to and read this crap. Stop lying about history, please. Stop it. Stop it. There's no justification. I hate this. I hate it here. Please just eat sand and turn into a golem and then cease existing.
Oh,
Anyway,
what?
this brings me to my second point. Although the world where this story is set is made up, and it isn't necessarily built around any specific Nordic folklore or mythology, it is still entirely based around a group of people who really existed. And when we find out that a story is based around a particular real-life culture, we are primed then to expect certain things, including the way the people represented look. Even if the story surrounding the people is fictional, if we know the story is about Vikings, we expect to see white people. Because the Vikings were white Europeans, and today they mostly still are, because they're like near where the snow is, and they are pale. They're pale people to blend in, so they
And they don't have the sun to activate the melanin.
don't get eaten by polar bears. Maybe.
Or penguins.
If we were being told a
Penguins.
similarly fictional story, but it was set in ancient China, I would not expect to see Europeans or Africans running around. It's crazy, but I expect to see Chinese
Wait. Don't tell that to Ubisoft, okay? Sorry, but I needed to tell you. Don't tell that to Ubisoft.
people. And I won't lie, I think it's a little alarming that this expectation suddenly changes when it concerns a European culture. Once again, I find it extremely ironic that effort
funny.
has been put into
Ubisoft
giving us a
listen to
version
you.
of Vikings, We have their long houses, their clothing, their hairstyles, obviously within the context of a kids' film. But their skin color, arguably one of the most distinctive parts of these people, is where Hollywood draws the line. Now, I know that some of you think I'm being a little bit dramatic with relation to this specific issue and the frequency at which it's happening and yada yada. And I also know that you're not, gonna fully embrace the road that I'm about to take you down, but hear me out. I have long been of the opinion that there is a concerted
Hamdall! Hamdall was also a good race swap. I loved Hamdall.
attempt in media and entertainment to undermine and destroy European cultures and their various representations on screen. And I think that we've been seeing this a lot for a very long period of time. Like I mentioned earlier, recently you had Angra who was race swapped, and Boleyn was race swapped, Jarl Hacken, I think that said Jarl. Feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm sorry I butcher every name I ever try to say. Anyway, Jarl Hacken was race and sex swapped because they decided to get creative there. And these are just a handful that I remember off the top of my head because there's been so many, I don't want to list them all. I've said this before, but I think it bears repeating because I am nothing if not a broken record. European cultures have their own rich histories, folklore, myths, stories, appearances, and so on. And those things...
Who doesn't love an European castle? Like, seriously, guys, who doesn't love a European castle? And how many games did you play about the World War One, World War Two, or the Crusades? I would love a game about the Crusades.
Deserve to be accurately and fairly represented in film and television, at least to, a very decent extent. And I personally find it absolutely absurd that Western media outfits are so comfortable undermining centuries-old cultures simply because they're trying to meet Californian sensibilities, which honestly we should just put in the bin at this point. The activist class...
Well, we are putting at the bin because those movies are not selling well. And that's the sad part. No, it's not the sad part. The customer has have all the power. If you're going to make a product that nobody's going to buy it, you're a dumbass. You're a dumbass.
Is routinely upset when they believe that something has been whitewashed. So again, I ask the question, how is it any less culturally insensitive when, say, Angra shows up having been blackwashed? Or when everyone acts like there is inherent racism in ancient Norse culture because everybody is too white. Obviously, there are so many other components to this conversation that I'm not going to get into in this video, partially because I've covered a lot of them in previous videos that I've made on my channel. And the other component here that's just worth me saying, just so that you guys know, if you read the Screen Rant article, you will find that there are other things that the director said that are definitely worth getting into, but again, we just simply don't have time here. I think the bottom line for me is that it's perfectly fine to create entertainment that's based in fantasy, that's fun to watch, and that has new and fun and exciting ideas in it, where different races can come together and be seen on screen together in a way that makes sense and doesn't cause people to freak out.
And you don't have to make sense also. You can create a narrative that a bunch of human genomes just fall into a planet, and black people, brown people, white people, yellow people, they just pop it out. You don't need to have a justification, but it needs to be an entertaining story, at the very least.
The fantasy and the creativity, that's not the issue here. Obviously, I can only speak for myself when it comes to this, but I dare say that there is a large portion of you who likely align with my sentiments here. So the best way that I can describe this is that I feel quite put out by the fact that there is so little respect for European cultures in entertainment and media. There seems to be this odd and pretty horrible concerted attempt to undermine cultures that either currently exist or used to exist. like the Vikings. And it's sort of weird to consider the fact that we're living through this odd period of historical revisionism in media where certain activist types are very, very intent on pretending that certain features of these cultures didn't actually take place. Namely that they were ethnically homogenous groups of people. In the end, imagination is great, and
Yeah, it's awesome.
creating new and fun stories is great. But I am personally never going to get behind this bizarre Hollywood trend of erasing light-skinned people from their own cultures and mythologies. Now, on that happy and pleasant note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out PDS Det.
Yeah, no, I totally see what she's saying. It's just like that movie, Gods from Egypt. I was watching the mythology guy, and he said, "Oh my God, Toph, I believe it's Toph, the god of knowledge." He said, "Oh my God, an actual black guy in the movie, in an Egyptian movie." But he later corrected, say, "Oh no, it's literally just a joke because Egypt was like a multicultural place. Cleopatra was from the was from the her family was from the Mesopotamian Greek area, so she wasn't black. If you all remember, there was like the Netflix special, the Cleopatra special, and there was a lot of backlash because they put Cleopatra as a black character, as a black queen, when she wasn't, and their evidence was a lady, an old lady, saying, "Oh, my mother, my grandma, or my mother said to me, I don't care about anything they said. Cleopatra was black." And yeah, that was a
link
funny
in the
situation.
description.
A really
Go and check
sad,
them
fun
out for your
situation.
free analysis. It's worth doing just for the sake of being a little bit more educated about what your options are. Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Are you on my side of this issue where you think that this type of thing is totally nuts and unnecessary? That if you already had an existing character, why don't you just make the new one look the same way?
Why don't you make the new movie the same as the books? Big stuff from the books. I want to see Alvin in the book form because I love Alvin in the book. He was like a skinny British Spanish man. He was awesome. He was skimmish. He was pure evil. But no, we just have the Alvin from the series, the animated series. Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon had the series, and he was brutish and just a random Viking. He was good, but
Or
not
very
as
similar.
not as good
Do you
as the
think
book.
that I'm kind of, off my rocker on this one, and this is not really that big of a deal. It's really not that deep, and it just kind of is what it is. Do you think that Hollywood is making a weird, concerted attempt to push white people out of their own cultures and mythologies and whatnot? Do you think that it's right? Do you think that it's wrong? Do you think we should be inclusive? That we should
Yeah.
include all sorts of people who look all sorts of ways in all kinds of stories, even if it doesn't make any sense? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always,
Well,
if you made
yeah.
it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here and you are not subscribed already and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel as well as leaving this video a like and a comment because I do read the majority of them and I do like hearing your feedback. Of course, happiest Valentine's Day to you all. I hope it was a really, really wonderful day. And as per usual, I will see you wonderful, pretty people in the next video.
Bye bye bye.